All right. Hello, Mr. Andrew. This is JT, and I figured to go along with your care package, I would teach you how to rig it. So what we're going to do today, it's called a Texas rig, and it's appropriate because we live in Texas. Although this thing is fished all over the place, I think other people might call it a worm rig or something like that. But if you internet Texas rig, you'll see lots of stuff about it. So the bait you're going to use is a soft plastic. That's a class of bait. A lot of people call them worms. They look like worms. This is one right here. This is my go-to bait right here. If I'm just looking to catch some fish, this is one of the first things that I'll throw if I'm going to Texas rig. It's called a robo worm. The color pattern is Aaron's Magic. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's kind of got a green top and a blue stripe down the middle. And then in the bottom here, it's got this brown piece. And this brown piece is what I really like about it. One, it helps make it float. And secondly, it's flavored for fish. And what that helps is if fish pick it up, they're going to taste that. And they're not going to want to drop it. No matter whether they feel the hook, the weight, or anything like that, they taste that and they're all about it. Another bait that I gave you here, this is a company that I really like. It's called Grande Bass. I have caught a lot of fish on Grande Bass as well. This is a little bit bigger of a bait. They're about the same length, but when you look at these, you're going to see all of the ribs on this, and what that does is it in the water, it makes a bunch of noise, so it makes it seem like there's a really big fish. Not only is there a big fish, but it's in distress. These things work really well as well. Though this is more, there's a thing called a reaction bite, and then there's like a finesse or a when the bite gets tough. These may not work as well as this Aaron's Magic will, because this Aaron's Magic is really small and it really looks like a fish, or it looks like something they want to eat. So that's cool. So the first thing is we're going to use a weight, and there's all kinds of different sizes and weights of weight and different ways to use them. I'm just going to get you started here. This is a relatively small weight because we're fishing a pretty small bait. What this means is that there's the size of the weight controls how fast it falls in the water. With this rig, most of the time you're going to be catching them when the bait's falling in the water, or when you have a little action with it after you cast it and it falls down. Then you're gonna maybe hop it up a little bit. But when it's falling, that's most of the time when fish are going to bite it. So smaller weight means that it's going to take longer to fall. So that can be kind of a pain in the butt sometimes if there's current or a lot of wind or something like that. It may make it hard to cast, or may make it so it drifts a lot when it falls, and you may lose a little bit of control. So you may want to upsize eventually, but you're going to be fine with this for a long time. To be honest with you, I don't usually change the weight that much. I usually change the weight based on the size of the bait. And so since these are both kind of small, I'd usually go with this smaller weight. So you don't want to forget this. You want to run this on your line first before you tie the hook. And there's a hole down the middle. You want the tip or the narrow part to go on the line first, so it'll make a nice little this is a bullet weight, and you want the tip to be pointing with the tip of the bait, with the direction of the bait. Okay, and then there's all kinds of stuff about hooks. I gave you a pretty average hook size here. It might be a little bit big for this bait, but it'll still work. It'll work fine. No worries about that. It'll definitely work great for these, but yeah, these hooks will work well. So the knot that we're going to try, it's called a Palomar knot. It's Palomar. And the way you want to do it is you want to have a lot of tag end. This is called the tag end. And we're actually going to create a little loop here in the line, and we're going to pass this little loop through the eye of the hook. Now you want to be careful when you do this. You want to keep it looped like this. You don't necessarily want to crimp it, because if you crimp it, that creates a weak spot in the line, and it may make it easier for it to break if you don't get this all the way out on the tag end eventually. So you want to be careful not to push on this and crimp it, but keep it a little bit spongy. With monofilament line, which is probably what you have, and even fluorocarbon, you can bend these things pretty good. But you want to poke that little loop through the hole, through the eye hole. Okay, you want to run a little bit out. So now, if you looked, you've got 2 pieces of line here and 2 pieces of line here. What you're going to do here is you're just going to tie an overhand knot. So you create a little loop, and then you take this looped end, pass it back through, just like you're tying a granny knot. So now we've got a granny knot, right? So keep your eye on this loop. Always keep your finger on the tag end here. So you got a loop here, and then this is your original loop that you pass through the hook. You want to pass the hook through that. I don't know if you can see that. You might, Google polymer knot, and people might have better videos that demonstrate how to do this. But you want to take this loop that you pass through the eye of the hook and actually pass the hook through that loop. And then you want to pull this tight. Now go nice and slow as you're pulling this tight. And when you get down close to the end, you just keep going slow. And when you get down close to the end and you're going to really pull it tight, you want to lubricate the line. Now you want to do that so you don't burn it, because if you burn it, then it's going to really create a weak spot, and then it'll definitely break if you don't lubricate this line. The way I do it, and you may think this is gross, you can dip it in the water if you want to, but I've been doing this my whole life and I haven't got hurt yet. May explain why I'm a little bit crazy, but I just I just put it in my mouth, get a little spit on it, and then you can do it. Then you can pull it tight, and then you want to make sure. I know you probably can't see this, but you don't want any of your line. You want all of your line to be bunched together on the tip of the hook here. All right. So now you got that tied, and you should have. Don't worry. Don't be stingy. Don't worry about having too much line here at the end. It's a lot easier to cut off a little extra line than it is to try to preserve line. So we don't want to do that. And then you just want to cut it. Don't cut it all the way at the end. Leave yourself about a 1/4 of an inch, and then you're ready to go. Okay. Then we're going to take this hook. All right. I will continue this video. I'll send you 2 links. I got to stop right now, but I'll send you a link later. All right. See you later. Now you got your hook tied. Practice polymer.